ghosting is a completely acceptable form of communication.
They're turning the roles gay. No one's cutting your nuts off unconsensually. I was gonna get right into like advocating for pegging.
I guess the initial question of like why. Let's hop into it.
All right. Well, so
let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
I don't really know how to bring that up, really. I was gonna get right into like advocating for pegging.
Let's hop into it.
All right. Well, so here's the thing. I feel like I've always been an advocate for ass play, okay? Because straight guys are terrified of ass play.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not trying to sound all woke and PC, but it genuinely is just societal homophobia.
100%.
There's no other thing that it could be. You know what I mean? It's like I've dug into it. And here's the thing. I guess I feel so comfortable advocating for it because I'm not into getting my ass penetrated yet, anyway. Like, listen, a prostate orgasm's on my list. For it not to be on your list is kind of crazy to me.
That's what I'm saying. It breaks my heart.
It's kind of crazy.
Thinking about all the men that will go to their graves without having that experience.
Yeah, and
like
you'll hear a guy say, like, acknowledge it, right? Like, oh, yeah, our G-spot's in our ass.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, have you ever tried that? And they're like, oh, I would never.
Right.
And it's just like, all right.
Why?
Because either you're scared of, like, actually being gay, right? Which is, again, homophobia. It's like, whatever it is, it's like, and I don't mean in a hateful way, right? It's just, it's genuinely our society.
Yes.
It's like, you can have the baddest bitch in the world putting something in your ass and you're gay.
Right.
You know?
It doesn't even have to go in. People think that
getting your ass eaten is gay.
Yes.
See that? So I'm an advocate for that, and I do enjoy that. So I'm an advocate for the pegging because I feel so bad for straight guys who want to get pegged,
right,
but won't even admit that to their partner. You know, and you'll hear women a lot of times say that like, you know, I could never look at my man the same. You know, and it's like, and I get that, but that is also societal homophobia. It's like, and not like in this, oh, we need to be more accepting. It has nothing to do with gay people. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not advocating for LGBTQ rights. I'm advocating for heterosexual people to explore themselves fully. And again, I'm not someone who's comfortable with penetration in my ass yet. I'm gonna work. I'm gonna work myself up. I'm young. I'm learning. But how could it not be on your list?
I know.
I hate that we jumped right into prostate stuff, but it's like we were talking about it, and it's like I've always been an advocate for, because it's like I just can't imagine how many people would like to try it but can't let themselves, or know they like it and can never tell their girl.
Right.
That's just terrible. That's like heartbreaking.
It is. I'd like to challenge one thing you said though.
Please.
I feel like the women that say I could never look at him the same way again, there might be another reason, and that might have to do more with like power dynamic stuff. So me personally, like I've had partners that are bisexual or whatever, or maybe are like switches, right?
Switches bisexually, or you mean top bottom power dynamic stuff?
Power dynamic stuff.
Okay.
I have no problem with it, but I would never want to see someone that I submit to take on a submissive role. Just for my mental, or I don't want to say never, but
okay, interesting. Because so that's not like latent homophobia, right? That's a power dynamic thing where, and it's not because he's a man, right? It's because it's your partner. You choose to be you're submissive. You're a submissive, so your partner then is the top, more or less.
Right.
So to have that person not be in that role would be foreign to you, but not because they're getting something in their ass.
Right. Right. It depends on how it is. Like it could be. There's a difference between like pegging and then like slapping and spitting and like degrading while you're pegging. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, depending on what type of...
Oh, right. Like how... Yeah, interesting.
It could be a lot to witness.
Well, and you mean because of the submissive thing. How submissive are they going to be, right?
Correct.
So if someone somehow was like dominating you while you were pegging them somehow.
Yeah, or...
I don't know exactly how that works, but...
I feel like, I don't know. There's obviously like a very strong need to please as a submissive, right? Like you want to do a good job. But... I think there's some sort of line there where it's like, it would be very challenging for me to kind of like switch the role completely.
Because that's who you are in your being.
Yes.
It's not like a role you're stepping into, the submissive. Like, that's who you are.
Right. And it's kind of like it's like once you give me the pants, like how do you get the pants back kind of thing.
Well, I've actually had people.
I've never experienced it. I don't know. But
Right.
it seems like it would be challenging for some women that look at their
Yes.
partner as dominant and the leader
That
to
makes
then
sense.
be kind
It
of
makes
just,
sense. And to take it even out of sexuality completely, I've heard that type of thing happen to where like the man gives up the pants, even not sexually, and then the women has them. And it's hard for them to return the pants and the men to get them back on and not. It's just like, and it's hard to give advice on because it's like, I really don't know how you reverse that, you know? There's almost like there's a line that is crossed where, and I talk about that a lot, like the domestication of men. I did a TikTok about it today. It's like, you know, women, and I only say women, it sounds like I'm attacking women, but really men let this happen. So they're just as culpable. But what'll happen, and I only am speaking on women because I'm a man. So I see it from my perspective only. As a straightish white male. But I feel like a lot of times women will cut a guy's balls off, put them in their purse, and then wonder why he's not fucking her right.
100%.
And it's like, I heard someone do the analogy like women are doing to men what humans did to wolves. And
yes.
And I loved that.
Yes.
And there's something safe about the corgi.
It's true.
As opposed to the wolf, right? There's this safety there, where it's not really, you know, but you were attracted to the wolf.
Exactly.
You know, it's like you are attracted to someone for something, and then you strip away what makes them that something,
right?
And then you wonder why they're a shell of the person. And again, if you're the guy that allows this to happen, you're just as culpable.
Correct.
No one's cutting your nuts off unconsensually.
Right.
You are choosing to give your nuts over and then have them put in the purse.
I think that's maybe the most disappointing thing in that process.
Which part?
The fact that he lets them.
Who you telling? As a guy, I know.
Now, this has happened to me. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you please.
I have been in relationships where, over a period of time, more and more control was relinquished, and I ended up making more and more decisions and essentially being the leader in the relationship. And one, it was just uncomfortable because most women, okay, let me back
Go
up.
ahead. Say it.
It's gonna sound crazy and people are gonna come.
Perfect.
Most women, whether they know it or not, don't want to have that role.
Right.
Society might tell them that this is what they should do in order to be a strong woman, blah, 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 whatever.
The feminist movement for sure.
Oh, one of the most.
Yeah. You're not even allowed to be submissive.
Oh
like,
my
you
God.
have to be the alpha. Like that's the thing, and obviously not the real feminine. You know, an actual someone who like is not just being a mouthpiece for that. But yeah,
Correct.
You're not even allowed to like be feminine. You can't even be in your feminine energy.
Right.
And we've talked about that too. Like there's so much power in that feminine energy, even if it's a quote unquote submissive role. It's like there's so much power in that. It's so hard to explain, you know.
So one of my favorite quotes is, the strongest and most powerful thing in the world is also the softest. Water. That is quintessential feminine energy. Like when you're able to be free and fall or flow wherever you want to go. Like, I don't know. I feel bad for, I guess, like people with masculine energy sometimes because like, it's so good over here. Like, it's so good. I mean, not alone. Like, you know the meme where the girl's walking with her boyfriend or whatever, and in her head she's just like singing a song and the guy's like looking and making sure that everything's okay. When you get to just like let go and release and just be free of like any sort of like, I don't know, responsibility or, okay, that's probably a little dramatic. But
no, I don't think it is. I think in that, and if you're talking about while you're being sexual in that present moment,
or just you know,
in general,
like women or feminine energy, it's really playful and it's really almost kind of like childlike, and curious, and I don't know, you just get to move and dance and do whatever you want and relax. I forgot my main point.
And it's like you're not able to, in a dynamic, relax like that unless there's like a safety that's been curated.
Correct.
So
it's like when people dance. When you see like one of those really intricate, like, I don't know, like the merengue or something, and the woman's just flipping and swirling everywhere, you know. she's only able to do that because she knows that there is this strong
Right.
presence that's going to catch her,
Mm.
that's going to, be her stabilization or whatever. That's kind of what it is to sit in your feminine energy in a relationship. And yeah, the modern feminist movement is just trying to fuck it.
They're
And
just like, yeah, you all need to shave your heads and become CEOs, basically.
and that's fine for some people.
No, of course. There's
Like,
nothing wrong
don't
with
sit
that.
here and tell the
But
woman
don't
that
act
wants
like that's the only way to do it.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life. Why are you
Right.
over here telling me that I shouldn't want certain things, or it makes me a weak person if I do? Like, it's weird. Like, it has
Yeah.
nothing to do with you.
Yeah, well, they do this. There's an overcorrection factor, right? And I actually heard this
The
quote
pendulum.
recently, which I liked a lot, which is overcorrection is fear disguised as wisdom.
Yes.
And I like that
I love
so
that.
much. And it was like, because I've done that, right? Something happens to where there's like this disruption, right? And because of that, you go so far this way and you never even look at it again.
Yes.
Maybe you need to come back to here. But you're like so far over here that you don't even look at it because you go like, no. But that's not wisdom. That's fear. Like
Correct.
you need to be able to relook at it and go like, oh, okay, maybe, God forbid, some women would like to be submissive, or like want to follow.
I hate how that's just completely woven into every part of society. No matter what we're talking about, like if one side feels wronged or has grievances, it's never just like, okay, let's make it so in the middle here, we don't think about that. It's always like, how do we swing it all the way over here to compensate for it? And you're trying to engineer. It's I feel like it's evolution in some way. Like, not obviously literal, like, animals evolving, but everything is like that. Everything has like this. There doesn't need to be this gigantic paradigm shift, but when we try to force engineer something to happen, it ends up overcorrecting and putting us back in the same situation that we were in before. Like when it comes to race or gender inequality or whatever, you're now doing what you said was unfair to the opposite group.
Yeah, the hypocrisy is next level.
It's crazy.
It's next level. Or it's just like the open-minded portion of society, the ones who like are closed-minded to people who aren't open-minded. It's like hold on.
Exactly.
Your whole thing is like to be the open-minded, loving one, and now you're like, but if they're not open-minded, fuck them.
Right.
It's like, all right, well, I don't know. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It doesn't make much sense.
That happens when you attach like your beliefs to your personality too, or like when you feel personally attacked if someone doesn't agree with you. I feel like that's the only way you get to that spot.
That's interesting. You see that happen constantly, and that's the only thing that'll really bring up such a irrational emotional response from someone is when they've attached.
Correct.
And that's the whole difference. Is I think that you can't attach to your beliefs.
Yeah.
You can't attach them to you as a person.
Absolutely not.
You just can't, because why? They're fluid.
We're fluid. Shit's way bigger than any opinion you've ever had in your life.
Yeah. And your opinions have always changed and always will.
And
hopefully.
Yes. They'll always change and they always will. And the things that you're thinking you agree with, those change. Like everything changes.
Yeah. And it makes it tough when you identify with a specific movement so fully that like when you start to change and the movement hasn't, you're like in this weird like, well, I said I'm this thing.
Right.
But then everything's changing and then you're like, now I'm tied into this identity.
Right.
So it's like it's smart to somehow separate your personal self from your beliefs.
Right. Yeah, all that stuff is just like frill and fun stuff to think about, but I don't know. Once you realize that like shit's so much bigger than any of this petty garbage that we're worried about, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
You can't be like actually passionate to the point where like you're offended.
That seems nuts.
It's
like,
so
bruh, common.
We're floating on a rock
it's
in the
so
middle of
common.
nothing.
I know. This is all made up.
Oh.
All of it. Every
100%.
single issue that we're talking about is not even, it's like we're making things up.
Yes, because agreed.
Like, the fact that we're here is just a miracle.
It's true.
And we're worried about, like, race, politics, religion, taxes, like the dumbest
Right.
shit in the world. Ugh. Well, so yeah, so get pegged if you're into that type of thing. I haven't crossed that barrier yet, but I will let you guys know when I do. Mr. Transparency.
I hear it's great.
I'm sure. Again, I went down on Reddit. You know, Reddit's terrible. Reddit will turn you gay. I went down this subreddit, like, and people are like achieving prostate orgasms from like putting massage guns on their taint.
Oh,
Like the
yeah.
brrr. So yeah, there's all kinds of shit going on, but I can't find a good enough reason to not try to get a prostate orgasm. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I can't find any.
That would be like the first. I want to be a dude for like a year.
Yeah.
That would be one of the
You
first
just have
things that I
everything
do.
in your ass at all times.
Oh my God. But I love the porn. You ever see the videos?
Oh.
The likes of prostate orgasms?
Yeah, I've seen them.
Oh my God. It looks so satisfying. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
To ejaculate without anything
Hands
touching.
free. Yeah.
That's got to be crazy.
It's the hands free.
It's got to be crazy.
Dick's
feeling.
just coming all over the
Yes.
place, and no one's touching it.
How would you
I've
not
only
want to
seen
experience
I've only
that?
seen that on someone with titties, just for the record.
How would you not want to experience that though?
Yeah,
That seems amazing.
I don't know. I guess because people think it's gay, right? And it's like, well, I'm not into men, right? So I don't want to get fucked in my ass. But if a woman could put something, it could make me come
Exactly.
like that, then I have no issue with
That's
that.
the difference.
The only reason I haven't gotten over the uncomfortability of anything penetrating my ass. You know, I'm okay with pressure. I'm okay with getting my ass eaten. This, that, and a little bit of like the idea that you might be in my ass is like tantalizing to me. But I actually entering the door, knock on the window. But when you come in the door, I just haven't gotten over that. One day I will, because it's genuinely on my list. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, I don't know how it couldn't be on your list. But
Right.
let's talk about the word "should" for a minute.
Okay.
How do you feel about it?
I
don't like it.
I don't like it either. I kind of feel like everything that's gonna happen is gonna happen, or it already has happened. I think time is a
Right.
an illusion.
You know, not to reduce it down to it is what it is, but it is what it is. And
It is.
and here's the thing about the should, right? So, because I had a talk with someone about this recently, and it's like, I don't like the word should because it implies there's a judgment there.
Mm-hmm.
There is someone knows best there. And that's not the case. It's never been the case.
Right.
Also, should and shouldn't is binary. So we already know it's wrong, right?
Yes.
If it's dealing with humans, it's already incorrect. But the should thing implies that someone knows best about what should be happening. And it's like, well, what should be happening is what's happening. That's why it's happening, because it should be.
Right.
There's not like it's the same way I don't like the word deserve.
I hate that word.
Do you?
Yes.
Good. It's terrible. Because why? Because it implies someone knows, or that there's this sense of fairness or justness in the world.
Which is not the case.
It's never been the case.
Ever.
And here's the thing. It's like, okay, so we strive to be fair in our interactions with one another. I get that. You got kids and stuff. You teach them about what's fair and what's not.
Right.
That's human to human stuff. I get that. But as far as the playing field and the universe and how things are actually unfolding, there is no fair.
Right.
There is no fair. The idea of karma happening in the same lifetime in an explicit way that makes sense to us and our morality, that's another reason I have an issue with it. Deserved means that, like, oh, so what someone deserves is fully based off of that specific person talking, their moral beliefs, right? Because what do you mean deserves? Depends on where you're from. It's like it could be a cultural difference. You know what I mean? It's like, so the idea of you should be doing this, you shouldn't. Now, at the same time, it's like, the example I can think of is like a cop should be enforcing the law, right? If you have a job title and you're supposed to do that, again, it's just like, I don't love the words. I understand that because of this, there's like a supposed, but really there isn't. It's like, yes, you have this job title.
Right.
You are free to do whatever you want.
Right.
There's
if
the
there.
thing that you can do in the role and you could be doing and that would probably benefit you more. Like, that's how I'd rather word it.
If you want to do your job well,
right.
you should.
Well, not even should. You could.
I mean, Sure.
I mean, it's super
Sure.
semantic, but yeah, for my brain, it's like, yeah, if you want to do your job well, you could do this thing, or you could do a bunch of other things. So that's why it's not a should. It's like you could do this, you could do that.
Yeah.
But the should is very definite. It's like, okay, you should or should not do this thing, but really, it is.
It is. There's so much freedom in understanding that as well. Back to the deserve word. I really hate, I keep seeing, or not keep seeing, but I've seen a couple of these like things online where people are like upset because like their partner leaves them or somebody ghosts them or something. And it's like, well, I deserve like an explanation or whatever. And it's like, you really, I guess depending on what type of person they are or what type of person you are, you may have that idea in your head. But at the end of the day, like,
Having the idea
no one
is
owes you
fine,
anything.
But no, period.
No one owes you a damn thing.
I'm going to take it to the extreme.
Okay.
That exact thing. No one. So again, my brain goes to the extremes, right? To test the ideas. So I saw someone post, children aren't, more or less, I'm paraphrasing, but like children aren't obliged to love their parents, right? And it was someone kind of close to me, so I reached out to them. It was on social media, and I said, and in this same way, like the kids, the parents, the kids don't deserve love. Like genuinely, like what I'm saying as far as what you deserve or don't deserve,
Right.
they reproduced. Their job was done. Obviously, I think you should be there for your
Right.
I think it would be. I think it would be healthier, for the children and you to be there for your child.
Yes.
And I think that's obviously I'm not advocating not doing that.
Right.
But do they owe it to you? No.
No.
And I know that's the extreme version, but it's like, do you deserve love? I hate to tell you, either you do or you don't. Same as everyone else. Like I'm not saying that you don't, right? But you do, just like everyone else does. Or just like there is, in my head, it's all or nothing. Because you don't get to decide who deserves what.
It's true.
So that's why it's like everyone deserves love in my head. So I don't like the word deserves, but it's like, yeah, sure, everyone should get, could get love.
Right.
Should and deserve. That's what I'm saying though. I don't know. At my core, I do not believe that we are entitled to that.
Absolutely not. And there's more freedom in that as well.
Yes.
Like you're looking, I don't know, when you expect something outside of yourself, like you're just, it's a trap. It's not real. It's not gonna benefit your ability to like know yourself and accept yourself, I guess. Like I personally, I don't know. I think that like ghosting is a completely acceptable form of communication. Like either someone died or they just don't want to talk to you anymore and there's nothing you can do about it. Bottom line, if you can't do anything about it, it shouldn't be something that you're worried should I hate this now. There's no point in worrying about it.
Right.
You can only worry about what you can control.
And
it's not my responsibility.
And I'm not advocating ghosting only because I'm a communicator, so I do prefer the communication. But
sure.
It says plenty.
It says everything you need to know.
Exactly. You're acting like it's not telling you enough. They might not have a direct criticism for you to like get better. That's what people say too. I want to know what I did so I can give. It might not be.
You don't have to do shit. You don't have to get better.
And it might not even be that.
You have to find somebody that fucks with you like that.
Right.
Like no one has. That's another thing. I don't know. Self-improvement for yourself is great.
Right.
Trying to like
become
this person that will do or be this for somebody else.
Right. Right. It's a losing battle.
Yeah.
Right.
It's sad. I don't like it.
Yeah, no, that is, I think that ghosting is not great. I think that like there's like a common human decency to communicating it, but I do think, if I'm ghosted, I've been told.
Correct.
It's the same way and kind of like no is a complete sentence.
Correct.
Like if you call out of work, I can't be at work. I don't tell you why, because then as soon as I tell you why, you now get to judge if it's a good enough reason.
Right.
Hey, I'm having a party this Saturday. Hey, I can't be there.
Right.
Don't hit me with why.
Right.
I've decided.
Right.
I've made the decision that I'm not going.
And that's that.
And that's that. No is a complete sentence. Like to have to start explaining yourself, and it's normal. in the way people communicate. Like, it's not common for someone to just go, no.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm having this thing Saturday. No.
Right.
People would be like, what the fuck? It seems cold because
Right.
everyone's so used to people explaining, but like, I'm not letting you judge whether my, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I'm just not for over-explaining myself or explaining myself at all.
I need to get better with that, or I don't know. I'm bad at that. I try not to like make people feel, I guess like uncomfortable or rejected or whatever.
Yeah.
So I do.
Yeah.
I do.
The only reason I've ever done it
explain
is that.
everything.
And this is what I was just about to say. That's the wrong motivation for doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I'm doing it because I want to explain,
Right.
fine. I know why I'm doing it.
Right.
I'm doing it to spare you of that uncomfortability of that faux rejection.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Which is like patronizing.
It's
You
true.
can if you can handle it. You know, to think that you can't is a little patronizing. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
a little like, oh, you're not going to be able to handle the fact
Right.
that I'd rather sit home and jerk off than go to your 6-year-old's fucking surprise birthday party or whatever. But it's like, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Mm.
I wish I had the balls.
Right.
I don't have the balls. I wish I did. Bruh, I could just to get paid to travel and fuck.
All right,
Are
so
okay.
back in, edited back in. Why don't you have the balls though? So we're talking about OnlyFans. Why wouldn't you have the balls? Because I don't either. I don't either. I've been told to make one, and it's like I've thought about it genuinely. I just, as a guy, I don't think it'll be lucrative. But as a girl, I could make it make sense.
Oh my god. Yeah, I just
Because once it's out there, and there is something. So like, as open as I am, and as like everyone do whatever they want as I am, there is something special about keeping something sacred, right? Like I understand the idea of like holding something and not putting yourself fully out there, but I don't know if that's just from my like suppression of feminine sexuality via society. You know what I mean? Because like if a guy did, I don't give a fuck. You know, but if a girl does it, I'm like, wow, you're out there. Like, are you okay with that? Like, and I think that only comes from like my judgment of women being sexual.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there's like a double standard big time, obviously.
The women that do it, they're my heroes.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's incredible. Maybe
It can be.
it can be. If you're genuinely there because you
If
enjoy
you're like
it.
authentically, yes.
Yes. It's like the same thing with strippers. Like, you can tell who needs to be there and who wants to be there.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
I've never really heard that about strippers, but yeah. I've said that about blowjobs.
Oh, yes.
The only difference between a good one and a bad one is someone wants to be there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Me personally, I would just be too embarrassed. Like, I couldn't look my grandma in the eye.
But she probably wouldn't even know.
She would know.
You're like, I'd be pretty poppin'.
My family is
I'd be
nosy.
pretty big. Yeah, I don't know. I've thought about one, but as a guy, yeah, it's just like, oh, I don't know. The guys, I don't think make a lot of money.
I
don't know if that's true or not. I feel like also there's this idea of like having to interact with the people. I don't know if you have to or not. I guess I couldn't. I guess I could choose not to.
Yeah.
But like the idea of just a bunch of dudes jerking off to me, if I don't have to think about it, who gives a fuck? But if they're trying to like interact with me, it gets a little funky. I don't know, but it kind of weirds me
You could do
out.
like an AI bot to respond to them, or like hire somebody to respond.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like the life to me. Like just the couples that do it, that fucking travel the world and just fuck on hotel balconies or whatever.
Well, that's
your life, yo.
Yes, but we have to realize that's not all of them.
I'm just saying.
That's got to be rare cases of like the top 5 percentile.
I'm just saying. It seems amazing.
It does seem pretty good. You're already fucking. Just throw a camera on.
That's crazy. I'd be so embarrassed. Oh my God. I would be so embarrassed.
If people you knew saw it?
I guess just people seeing it.
Yeah, in general.
Like, but also this has to do with my upbringing. Like, I was raised to like not even get naked in front of other like girls. Like, they were like, my family was like, okay, like, no, you go change in the bathroom by yourself.
Right.
Like, don't be naked in front of anybody, blah, blah, blah. So there's something like deeply rooted and seated in me that's like, oh my gosh, like, you can't do that.
Was that like a religious
but it's
thing?
Stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. Religion. So I had this talk with somebody recently too about, I forget what the specific was. Damn it, what was it? Oh. I think it might have been about masturbation or something. I forget what it was, but it was like, I said something about how people look at it, and the person was like, I said something about it being religious, like because of religious undertones. And they're like, well, what if the people aren't religious? And I'm like, it still permeates, you know? Like, you can have an atheist family who's shameful about masturbation, and they don't know why. But it's because Christian religion has permeated our Western culture. You know, it's like, even if you're not specifically that thing, like the things that we grow up with us that is like societal programming, we think it's just us.
But
you know, it's like you just think that this is how it is. But it's like, well, this is just how we grew up.
Exactly.
If I grew up in a tribe as a cannibal, I would be eating humans. It's just that simple. It's that easy to go, oh, if I just happen to have been born over here, everything would be different. My morals, my judgments, my idea of the world. So it's so hard to attach myself to the one I have when I know how fickle and acute it is.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's so specific to my life experience.
Yes. Just a quick kind of analysis. Just asking yourself why, you know, you do the things that you do or you believe the things that you believe. You can kind of come to your own conclusion. But if you just are like, I don't know, if you don't examine your own life and your own choices or preferences,
or habits or routines or patterns.
You'll never know if you're doing it for you or if you're doing it because society was like, hey,
and it's not easy. Like you said, like a quick analysis, but sometimes those things you have to dig at. You know, like certain ones, like there's certain things that we hold so true, and that, like for me anyway, let me talk about myself. There's certain things I have held and continue to hold so true, and then yes, my life's work is to try to dismantle them, to try to fuck with them, and not to get rid of them, so they can either, if they need to be gotten rid of, get rid of them, or strengthen them. You know, and when you try to dismantle one and you can't, you know it's powerful. Yeah. It's like, this is one of my pillars. Yeah. Because I've tried to dismantle it every way. Yeah. And I can't. So now I know this is real. Yeah. You know, so but that does take a little bit of time for me.
I guess the initial question of like why.
That's it.
If you start to dig deeper and it's like, okay, hold on.
And almost always for me, it was like insecurity and fear. Right? Fear. If you really break it down in a certain way, a lot of it ends up being fear. And I want to say this too. Just because I break something down and know that it's fear doesn't mean I get rid of it. Yeah. That was a big one for me. That was a big one for me. Because it was like, all right, well, so I understand that the only reason I don't want my wife to get gangbanged by the football team is insecurity, ego, and fear. I know that. Still not having it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can dismantle something and go like, nah, I'm going to build that right. I'm going to put that right back where it was. And it's like, I understand that pillar is ego, but I'm okay with some ego, right? You can't just get rid of the ego. It's not possible. So it's like to play nicely with the ego. It's like, there's certain things that like, I understand that, but it's not unexamined. Right. That's, I broke it down and went, oh, this is complete insecurity and fear. Right. Okay. At least I know where that's coming from, right?
That's so it's valuable.
Like, and then you can decide, okay, should I dismantle this? Right. Would it be beneficial for my life to dismantle this? Right. I said should again. I'm going to say there should be like a should counter. There's going to be so many in this episode when I'm like, I don't like the word, and I'm just should this, should that. So let's talk politics. We did the pegging. Right, okay. We talked about the pegging. Yeah. Talked about should. Now I just want to talk about your love for Hitler and the fact that you're a huge Trumper and that you support everything he does and says. And I want to know why I should be a Republican like you.
First of all, I'm
not a Republican. I'm a libertarian. I know. I was just fucking with you, but I there's been a lot going on. Okay. Obviously. Yes. There's been like so much going on with Elon and Trump, two humongous figureheads in media, period. You could argue that Elon Musk is the most powerful person in the world. You could argue it. Sure. He has the most money and he's next to the president. Not even the president. You could argue he has more power because he's not the president, right? He's like outside of that role, so he's not restricted by certain things. Yes. And they're running through with a meat cleaver in the government and hacking shit off.
Mwah.
Okay, all right.
We love to see it. As someone who abhors the government, I want as little of it as possible.
Mm.
These past 2 weeks have just been, oh my God.
I've intentionally not spoken to you about it because I'm like, I'm gonna get her on the podcast and hear what she's got to say because I'm like, so let me give it to you from my perspective, right? So I get to see both sides. Well, I'm sure you do too, but I'm not that invested or knowledgeable, so I see people just going back and forth, and it's like messing up jobs for people who work in the government. Like realistically, like people who I know who work in the government are like, we don't know what's going on. Like there's like real life repercussions from this. It's not just someone talking. Like so it showed me, because it's not affecting me.
Right.
But it has shown me directly it does affect people, right?
Yes.
At the same time, it's like, as you said, I am not for big government. I don't want a whole bunch of big bureaucratic bullshit. And I will say at the same time, I don't know shit about foreign aid. I don't know shit about foreign policy. So like, and let me say this too. So basically, Elon Musk has Doge, their new government organization who's going to cut down on government. They're cutting all these branches down. I want to. They've basically become transparent with a lot of what they're doing with our money in the USAID or whatever.
Yes.
And so now we're spending millions of dollars on like gay Sesame Street in Gaza or something. I don't know what the fuck. It's like, it's the wildest shit. We're like paying for babies to transition in fucking Zimbabwe or something. I don't know. Now,
you're not far off,
I
which
know,
is crazy.
That is crazy. The fact that I'm like half trolling, but like that's damn near close. I just don't know the actual facts. So we have been sending crazy money to do crazy things. I want to say the people who are so quick to go like, look what the Democrats are doing. If Doge started right after a Republican president, we would have the exact same thing, but the opposite. It would just be sending money to the opposite of whatever they were sending money to. Right? They would be sending money to pray the gay away in Zimbabwe.
Right.
As opposed to, giving them trans talks at 2 or whatever the fuck they're doing.
Yes.
It's just like, and again, because my big thing is anti-government.
Right.
Not fully, right? I understand but my whole thing is, yes, let's relook at this thing. This is a giant corporation of corruption.
Yeah.
And it's just so quick for people to, once they start to lose sight of the bigger picture. And they go, look at what the Dems were doing.
Yes.
And they go, hey. This is our governmental system doing this.
Right.
No matter red or blue, they were doing this shit.
You are 100% correct.
That's the thing.
I'm going to tell you right now, they're not going to do their job well unless both sides are angry at the end of this. I think it was either Ron or Rand Paul. So right now, all the spotlight is like, oh, look at what the Democrats are doing. Look at all this, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
By the end of this, both parties are going to be embarrassed. And they should be.
If not, there's a problem.
Exactly.
If not, there's a bias, period.
Yes. And if you're still like about to die on your political party's hill at this point, regardless, like there's a bigger picture here. It's us versus the ruling class right now. The ruling class,
aka the corporations and the rich and the
stealing from you.
politicians. Yeah.
First of all, we already talked about taxes before, but they feel like they have a right to your labor, which is crazy. They take your money, and not only do they appropriate it for things that the majority would not want to spend it on, but the majority of that money is being laundered.
Yeah.
It's being used
through
to
NGOs,
line
non-governmental
pockets,
organizations, NGOs,
political leaders.
And that's what's interesting. It's like a lay person, we would never be able to figure that out.
Right.
You have to be in there and looking at this shit. You have to be an Elon because
yes.
They intentionally are laundering. They're not doing it so blatantly. They're going from here to here. They're moving the money around and they're doing all this trickery.
And anyone who is suspicious of the government is obviously okay. Like, how can someone go into the government with, I don't know, a house or whatever as their main value and then come out a millionaire? You know what I mean? It's like we all knew something was going on.
Yeah, everyone knows.
Right, but now to see blatantly. It is it's simultaneously disgusting and just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone that's like, I don't understand how anyone could be mad at the messenger. So
Well, that's
everyone,
what I'm disgusted about. I'm disgusted about either the people who are angry at the messenger because whose team the messenger happens to be on, and then I'm also mad at the people who are just acting like it's nothing.
yes. Like, what do
Like,
you mean?
I just feel like no one's talking about like this. Like, I get that the political pundits and shit are all talking about it, but like, guys, we're all, and I guess again, we all know it. We're
Yes.
being robbed, and what they do with the money, we have no idea. And that's
Yes.
that's as basic as it gets. They're taking my money, and I don't know what they're doing with it. There's an issue.
It is a gigantic issue. But beyond that, if you have children in this country, the majority of this debt and this wasteful spending is going to fall on their backs,
Right.
and they're not going to have the same level of quality of life that we kind of still experience in
Yeah.
generations before. So I think that is one of the main issues. Like, I don't even have kids, but just thinking about like my nieces and nephews and stuff, like when you're born in this country right now, you're $87,000 in debt. Like, if we were to split up the deficit right now amongst man, woman, and child, instantly being born, 87 grand. Like, there's no way to justify it, but the least possible reason would be to send fucking condoms to Mozambique or whatever.
Right.
Like, it's just...
Well, they said there was like an AIDS outbreak and they were trying to stop the spread of AIDS because then it could become a worldwide thing. That's another thing. So, like, I will say this. I'm not a foreign policy expert. So, like, there's definitely things that they're doing that to me, a layperson, an idiot, a retard, would look at and go like, that don't make no sense. But if someone intelligent broke it down and was like, there was actually a really acute, bad AIDS outbreak here, and if we didn't stop it, it could have been a worldwide issue. Now, I'm not saying that was the problem. I'm just saying, like, trying to think about what could we be.
Sure.
So I don't claim to have that level of like knowledge or intellect. I have faith that Elon Musk has a little more than me. So it's like, and look, does he have an agenda? Duh. To act like the motherfucker doesn't have an agenda is retarded. Everyone has an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
But when you listen to what he's saying and remove it from him and just look at what he's saying, I can't pick shit apart. I can't.
Right.
Once I remove it from who's saying it, you know, once
Yes.
if I don't have to see him doing the Nazi salute, I can really hear his words and go, you know, this guy is speaking in common sense.
Yes.
And you know, it's funny because he said recently, everything I say is not going to be 100% factual. And I want you guys to call me on that.
Right.
Like, it's everyone's bats 1,000. And it's so interesting. I've seen multiple people from the other side go like, this guy's just sitting here saying he's going to lie to us. When really it's like, this is the first person ever in that Oval Office who's even admitted to maybe being wrong.
Yes.
I've always said that. I've never heard a politician go like, I was wrong.
Right.
I fucked up here. It's always this posturing and slimy maneuvering to just like, we're all human beings, to act like there's nothing weaker than a guy who can't admit he's wrong.
Correct.
Guy or woman. If you cannot admit that you fucked up, that's the weakest shit in the world.
Correct.
You need to be able to say, hey, I fucked up, and then have so much clout and, you know, good faith that it's okay that you fucked up. If you're scared of fucking up, it could be because you have other kind of fucked up shit going on. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because if not, you just go, hey, I fucked up here.
Right.
Let's fix it.
Agreed.
So you're happy about it.
Oh my God, I love it. One more thing though. A lot of these African countries that have been getting the USAID money, I've seen so many posts from people in like Uganda or Kenya or wherever, and they're like, this is a wake-up call for the entire world and my country. This is now the moment to figure out how to handle shit ourselves, because one, this money can be cut off at any time, but more importantly too, they don't even see most of the money.
I'm sure.
They
I'm
don't
sure the
even
actual
see
people, no.
the fucking whatever it is that they bought or that they're sending.
Yeah, this guy's like, I haven't seen a condom in 5 years.
Right. Like, give me a break. Like, you could at least have some sort of argument or, I guess, try to advocate for this type of spending if there were actual results.
Right.
Africa looks, or these countries look the same way that they did 20, 30, 50 years ago that they do now. And the only thing that's changed is influencing these politicians that run the country or people close to them.
And that's what it all is.
And
that's what it all is. And that's what's frustrating.
With your money.
Yep. And you could argue like this is how it's always been. This is how you play the game. They're playing a giant game of Risk, and that's how you play it. You take the money from the citizens, and then you use it to dabble and manipulate other political systems, right? And it's like that's dark, and we've all known it. But to get to see it blatantly, it's like, yeah we spent $25 million on like this specific news station in Ukraine, and it's just like. Well, if that's not a propaganda machine, I don't know what it is.
Right.
And it's just time that we all, it's not new, but it's time that we can all start accepting it because we're being shown it.
Yes. This is like our Truman Show moment.
Right.
Like we've hit the wall.
Right.
And you can stay inside and pretend that your life is the way it is.
And that's what's frustrating is how many people are choosing to stay and go like, well, they're shutting down things that are important and people are going to lose their jobs. It's like, yeah, all right. But
it couldn't be me.
Huh?
It couldn't be me. Like the people that are making those arguments right now, it's crazy. Sorry, go ahead. I did not mean to cut you off.
No. Why is it crazy?
To choose to accept the status quo and choose to accept being robbed blatantly in your face is crazy to me.
Well, the argument I guess they would make is like, look, everywhere you're at, that's going to happen. That's not an America-specific thing. That's how governments work. That's how militaries work. That's how political powers work.
And so my argument would be,
okay, first of all, you dumb bitch.
Not even 100 years ago, we were not being taxed. The federal government was not collecting a tax on us. So it's not always how it was.
Right.
This was... Oh my God. Okay.
I guess there was always like political collusion and all the manipulation, but not with our money.
Right.
There's always been that. Because that's always been a Game
now,
of Thrones.
I'm gonna tell you right now, people they talk and they whispering. There's a rumor that perhaps, depending on how this tariff situation goes, we used to collect our revenue via tariffs from other countries, right? I know you hate when people talk about tariffs, but that was how the country got its money.
And we still have tariffs.
We do.
Yeah. And Trump just raised them.
And there has been an external revenue service, talk of that being established, kind of like the reverse of the IRS. Like they're not tracking our money.
Honestly, the reverse of the IRS sounds great. Anything that's the opposite of what the fuck that is would be wonderful. So instead of the internal
revenue, the external revenue.
Yeah.
But there's rumors that if this can go the way it's supposed to go, the income tax may be eliminated.
Oh, sure.
And I'm telling you right now, if that happens, I'm about to be doing... I don't even know what I'm going to do. I might have an aneurysm. I'm going to die.
Listen.
I might start OnlyFans.
If Trump actually abolishes income tax, I'll kill every Democrat I see. There's no way. Here's the thing. Of course I heard that, Destinee. You said it like it would really happen, though.
Look, this is... Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
That sounds great. Same as no taxes on overtime. That just sounds good. But you got to deal with the whole system still. We act like Donald Trump is the system. They're still the system, and they're working hard to get rid of him.
Oh, my God, yes.
So it's going to be tough.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I just don't know that would be an actual option in my lifetime. I wish that which is sad. Yeah. That's like accepting the surrender that I'm being robbed.
Right.
But because I've never seen anything but it's interesting to hear that not that long ago that wasn't the case. And I do know that. It's just I don't think about that often. It's like, yeah, you're right. That wasn't always the case where they were robbing us. Internal revenue, it's my revenue.
Exactly.
It's not internal. This is my money.
It's 100% theft.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so sick. It's so sick. Not to mention that all the money that they print devalues the dollar even more. Like, they'll throw you in jail for not filing your taxes, but now they're mad because they're getting audited? Fuck are you talking about? What? It makes me so mad.
Yeah.
Like, and again, it's the ruling class. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on.
Yeah.
These people are here making, sustaining their lifestyle, their livelihood
via
the backs of the taxpayers.
Yeah, via psyops.
Yes.
And programming and human programming. Like,
Correct.
not to get into whole deep state Illuminati shit, but very simply, the person reading the teleprompter ain't the one who wrote it. Okay? And then, yeah, there's just shit going on that, yeah.
And they all say the same thing.
Yeah.
The buzzwords and the talking points go out.
Yeah.
You turn on the news that night, everybody's saying the same shit.
It's blatant. Their job is to rule us, right?
Yes.
Like you said, the ruling class. It's the haves versus the have-nots. And it's the people in power versus the people not. And it's gotten so far corrupted. Everyone knows it's corrupt. Even people who love politics will say, yeah, politicians are liars. And
Yes.
it's like, why? We don't have to do that, you know? And I think it would just take that overcorrection, which is kind of probably happening. Like, they'll probably end up cutting shit that they shouldn't, right? But I'm okay with that. Like, I personally, like, I hate to take the emotions out of it, but I'm sorry your job's gotten fucked up. But, right, we're talking about a zoomed out bigger picture here of regulating the government in a bit.
Yes.
Because it's just been completely unchecked for so long.
For so long. I personally know people that work at the IRS. And they're like,
boo.
I know. They're like, oh, everybody's freaking out. They're emailing like, oh, what do we do? Do we take the buyout? Do we not take the buyout? And they're just sitting there like, take the fucking buyout. I don't know because I don't work there, but there's a significant portion of federal workers in general, just government employees, that cannot be fired, know it, and don't do shit.
Oh, what?
Some of these people that were working from home.
It's like a joke, the governmental workers.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Some of the people that were working from home had a whole nother job.
Oh, yeah.
Like, good for you for figuring out your hustle.
Work the system, fine.
Yeah, I get it.
But when it's my money.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We've got to pause that.
Uh-huh.
Like,
yeah.
It's sick. And I don't even know if it's an overcorrection. The founding of this country.
I don't know that either, yeah.
The founding of this country, shit was crazy. You elected somebody to go in there and represent you. If they did not represent you correctly, you might not have your life by the end of your term.
Right.
Like, they weren't fucking around. But now we've gotten so used to, like, just
we should have the
things
power.
That sound good.
We should have the power and
Yes.
elect someone to speak for us.
But this is the thing, though.
But they have the power.
We do have the power,
Well,
but we've been so conditioned to think that we don't.
Exactly. We have it if we took it.
Right now.
We don't have it because we won't take it.
Correct.
We're stayed with the bent knee.
Yes.
Yep.
Right now you got judges trying to block this shrinking of government, even though multiple presidents have done this. Bill Clinton did a buyout for people. Like, this is not new.
Yeah.
It's because there's an R at the end of his name that they're like, oh, well, this can't stand. Blah, blah,
Hard
blah.
R?
The hard one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because they're on a certain team.
Yes, because you're on a certain team.
And if it was a Democrat doing it, just know it would be just as loud from the Republicans
Correct.
bitching. It's like
Correct.
that's what everyone seems to fail to realize. It's like, bro, this is the same thing.
This is the
This
psyop.
is the government versus the people.
Yes.
That's one of them.
This is the psyop,
sure.
though, because everybody that's yelling back and forth
Divide
on the
and
TV
conquer.
screens, they sitting up in some hotel afterwards
Mhm.
or at some dinner laughing and joking about how dumb the rest of us are because we're fighting amongst ourselves
Yeah.
because it's a R and a D.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here.
It's a joke.
It's a fucking joke. And the minute that we as a collective understand that, it's over.
Right. I don't know if that minute happens. That's what I worry about. I hope that there's this conscious awakening of the people, but I think that it's hard for everyone to realize that we're getting fucked.
Well, obviously we would hope that it does.
Yes, I hope that for sure.
But I see glimmers. Like prominent people who towed their party's line or whatever after all this money and wasteful spending is being illuminated. They're like, yeah, this has all been a joke. My life has been a lie. I thought I was doing this for this reason, XYZ, and now I realize, like, this is all a fucking game. It's a joke.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm hopeful.
And that's the thing, too, is even the policies they're making, they're not affected by. Right? Because they live in this ivory tower.
Oh,
and so they're
absolutely.
talking about, like, transgender bathrooms or some bullshit for us to argue over where they're like, they have, a private villa anywhere they're at. Like, it's not like they're having to deal with it. The people who declare war never go to war.
Correct.
It didn't used to be that way.
The people that yell and scream about defunding the police live in a gated community with security guards.
Right.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. Like, I feel like if you're going to advocate for a policy, you yourself need to put yourself in that position as
And
well.
it may not be always the case. That may not always be possible depending on the policy, right? It might not be realistic to actually set yourself in every one.
It's just,
But there's got to be some type of closer connection.
or at least be able to like put yourself in that situation. But I say that for everything. Like, people that eat meat, I think that you should go and kill an animal and eat it.
I did that.
I want to do it. So
39
bad.
chickens.
Oh,
R.I.P.
yeah.
And I only did it because I feel like if you eat meat, you should be able to.
Yes.
I hate the should. There it is again. I feel like if you eat meat, it would be beneficial to know how it's getting to you, right? I think that it would be beneficial to you as a human being to not only just push that buck onto someone.
Right.
Because that's all you're doing. Like, to say, like, oh, I wouldn't kill an animal as you're eating a burger. It's like, okay, you just don't have the courage to do it.
Right.
Someone's doing it for you.
Right.
And you're okay with it as long as you don't have to think about it.
Correct.
So that's why I did it. It was kind of bizarre, to be honest, lopping through chicken heads, you know?
I want to do that really bad.
You're sick.
I
was invited to do it. I wasn't seeking it, but
no, I want to know what it's like. I love like primal experiences.
there's something spiritually primal about
Yeah.
it for sure. Especially because it's part of the food chain. It's like happening as it could.
True. One more thing on the hypocrisy.
Please.
I could do this for one of the things that pisses me off the most is education, right? So everybody's freaking out because they're trying to get rid of the Department of Education. The same people
Department
that
of
advocate.
Indoctrination.
Correct. The same people that advocate for the Department of Education and public schools send their children to private schools. The extreme decline in test scores and just basic fundamental
Right,
understanding
right.
of the three.
Right. There's results. There's data already.
If you believe in it so much, why aren't your kids in that school? It doesn't take a lot for people to ask themselves that question, but I feel like a lot of people, like regular people, aren't able to ask themselves that question because, again, we're being fed this narrative of lies to keep us in check. But again, as a parent, if you were to ask yourself, well, why are they saying this school is okay for my kids, but they live in my same district and they don't go there?
Right.
It doesn't take a lot,
Yeah.
but you never hear about it.
No, yeah.
You never hear about.
It's like they're saying, hey, drink from this river. The water supply is good, as they have like a bottle
Right,
with them.
right.
Like a Fiji.
That's like fucking what was it? East Palestine, in Ohio. Remember when that
I remember
train?
Flint.
Oh yeah, Flint was big.
Yeah.
That
What was
train.
it? Oh, the train derailment.
Yeah, the train derailed, and there was like,
All the chemicals.
oh my god, it was so bad.
They're turning the frogs gay. Where's Alex Jones drop when you need it? They're turning the frogs gay.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's been honestly pretty fun to watch. I will say that. Also because it does seem different as far as like how quickly and effectively they're doing. It's not like they
Yes.
just in politics. It's a lot of talking
Yes.
and not a lot of doing. That's what politics is.
Correct.
They've been doing. They've been like really doing.
They've been doing.
So
and I just
we'll see how it ends up. You know,
Yeah.
you could argue that like cutting off these essential things, things that may be essential in some avenues and situations will come to bite us in the ass later when the AIDS from Mozambique travels throughout the kids who don't get to watch Sesame Street or whatever the fuck we're paying for. But again, I don't know.
This is the thing, though. Even
If that happens.
if that's true, I guarantee you there is a private company that could do it more efficiently for less money.
Yeah, and
The
also, how did that become our job?
Exactly.
Not to sound cold, but
No,
we have
not
homeless
our-
people dying here.
Correct.
We have an opioid epidemic thanks to one greedy family who lied about, the Sackler family, who lied about these Oxycontins, and their
Yes,
effect.
yes.
And ever since then, it's just gotten worse. Now we have fentanyl. It's like, if we had no problems, I'm okay with trying to help some other places out.
Right.
But the analogy I keep seeing is like you have kids starving and you're giving money to other families with kids.
Right.
As your kids are like, I'm starving.
Right.
That's such a good analogy. It's like if you
Yes.
saw a parent do that, you go, hey, what the fuck are you doing?
Correct.
Take care of your kids. That's nice of you and all. But
Correct.
what about your kids?
Correct.
It's crazy because the kids can't help them in some foreign election where
Yes.
they want to play ball, you know, in the next it's dark.
It's true. It's kind of you have to put your mask on before you can help someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We can't be the best
Right.
assistant outside of the country for other countries or other groups if our shit is fucked up. And right now,
Our shit is fucked up.
it's fucked. But this is another. Okay, I'm so sorry.
Go
this
off.
is another
Don't be
thing.
sorry. I don't, yeah.
That's also part of a strategy for a certain sect of people in this country with a certain ideology. There are people that hate the idea of America, hate that we are so, I guess, like successful or are currently the superpower in the world, and they feel like we should not be here. We've done horrible things, and
The
we need
people
to
who
be-
had the Osama letter go viral. The people who that's the same people though, right?
Yeah.
They hear like the
But it
Osama
goes-
thing translated and are like, actually, yeah, America sucks.
Yeah, but I mean, you have Marxists or
Sure.
you know, whatever the thing is. If you're trying to dismantle or destroy a country like ours, one of the quickest ways or the most efficient ways to do it is to bankrupt it. If you can remove our currency as the global currency, if you can make it so that the debt is so crippling that we won't be able to meet our obligations or whatever, the whole system starts to collapse on itself. And then you get to say, see, this didn't work, or capitalism is bad or whatever, and you get to rebuild it in a new way. So I think a lot of that wasteful spending is also attributed to people that feel that way, which I don't get. But-
Well, I think that there's just like this slight misalignment, like where people are listening to the Osama bin Laden letter to America and going like, hey, he has a point, you know, or the only difference between a terrorist and a freedom fighter's perspective and all this, right? Like, we're not angels. We've been taught that we're angels through the
Correct.
propaganda machine. But the difference, and it's only a slight one, but it becomes big. It's like, I'd like to make America better rather than be like, we need to tear this fucking thing down. Like, hey, it's malleable.
Right.
We're able to we still have on paper the ability to move things and change things. So
Yes.
rather than be like, let's get like it is us. I was born here. I
Right.
am American.
Right.
Period. So like, why would I trash the system? It's like, well, if I dislike the system, which there are things about it I do dislike, I'd like to see those change rather than be like, place is horrible, we're immoral,
Right.
and it's like, I agree that, look, has America done things I don't agree with? Of course. Are they going to continue? Of course. And again, they're playing on a game that's different than mine. I understand the global scale is just different.
Yes.
But
I do not disagree. We've done horrible things. I understand even why people feel that way.
for sure.
I totally get it. All I'm saying is big picture, broad spectrum. Like, I think there's always a cost benefit analysis,
Mhm.
right? And in my analysis, there's been more good than harm done.
Right.
Like, whatever your ideology, or if you think that, I don't know, you align like with communism or some sort of like shared socialism situation, like history, we have empirical evidence.
Yeah, it's not
To
like we haven't
look-
tried it.
Right.
Yeah, and the
The-
people aren't they're not thinking of that. Like even the freedom to bitch about it, right?
Mhm.
The freedom to choose a religion. Like we have stuff that other places don't have. Like so
Right.
to acknowledge the bad with not acknowledging the good, it's like you're speaking from a point of privilege to even be on that TikTok talking your shit.
Correct. And that's beautiful. And I love it.
Yeah,
Even
for
if you're
sure.
wrong,
Same.
I love that you
yes.
I love to hear
Voice
it.
your shit.
Yes, be out there.
Yeah.
But you got not so far back in the past, like not even, what was it, 8 years ago? No, 4 years ago. People were getting doxxed and censored and kicked off of Facebook and Twitter
Yeah.
for sharing actual news.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And it's funny because we talk shit about China, how like the government and the corporations aren't separate and you can't separate them. And it's like, well, if you saw the censorship that was going on to the social media companies in America, you
Correct.
go, wait a minute, there's no separation here.
Correct. And they throw that in our faces.
Yeah.
When we try to make the arguments with them about, oh, TikTok is bad, blah, 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 they'd be like, well, what were y'all doing in 2000 or whatever? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like our propaganda is fine, not their propaganda.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, it just seems more and more blatant, and I guess we're just learning more and more. I don't know that there will be this culmination or tipping point because of the way news comes in. It's like it's happening now. It's coming in now to where they're like, hey, yeah, we've been robbing you. There's nothing you can do about it. And it's just like, all right, so are we not taking to the streets? Or because it's like, it feels like, I'm not telling anyone what to do, but, you know, if you could mail a politician anthrax, or obviously being satirical, you know. Yeah, I don't know what there is for us to do. I guess you could say vote. But yeah, it seems just like a.
I think it depends.
Yeah.
It depends on what comes of it. Like right now, the courts are trying to block like the cutting and the revealing. Right. There's no way that's going to hold up in the Supreme Court because, what no one understands or what no one likes to talk about, they're mad at the executive branch for running the executive branch. All these little agencies, USAID, FBI, CIA,
they're all under that
department. They're all under the jurisdiction of the executive branch.
Right.
What are we actually talking about?
Yeah.
What is your standing here? I don't understand. Well, I do understand why you're doing it, but it makes no sense.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be held up in the Supreme Court. So they're wasting time. They're
stalling,
wasting money.
yeah.
They're stalling. They're trying to figure out how to scramble to protect their fucking pockets or whatever.
And that's what legal battles are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think also as far as the news goes, a lot of people are getting their news from news sources like podcasts and Substacks and social media. So I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be able to hold the narrative because no one trusts.
Well, that's what's changed. I mean, really, the whole and I think COVID was a big turning point in that. People's distrust of, you know, mainstream media is very real, and it makes sense. It should be, could be. It is. It makes more.
They've been wrong.
Yeah.
On
it's
almost everything.
Well, a lot, and it makes sense that they have an agenda and they're trying to control. Right? They're the ruling class, and they're in bed with the news companies that are, and that's why something like Joe Rogan, like him or dislike him, you know, there's people, and who knows, he could be bought and sold by Trump at this point, right? But it's like there's independent media that doesn't need a gatekeeper.
Right.
Before it was literally like the media was owned by like 3 companies.
Correct.
There'd be 500 media companies owned by these 3 parent companies who are just like, it's a game. They're literally feeding the red, feeding the blue, doing whatever. And it's just like, once you get rid of that, now that it's straight to consumer, it is harder to control the narrative. But then you got people like Bryce Mitchell who are like, Hitler's great, and they're trying to queer up the kids. You know, it's like there's all these, and I understand like that people will go too far that way.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been down certain paths that I'm able to pull myself back and go, oh, okay, this is somewhere in the middle. But some people go and they don't know to come back.
Right.
That's going to happen.
Right.
We cannot safe-proof the world for the anomalies. For the extreme, the outliers.
And that's the beauty of the First Amendment, because he can sit up there and say whatever he wants, and then we get to challenge and maybe, hopefully, change a perspective.
Right, that's the thing.
Any side that's trying to silence speech or suppress speech,
whichever one's not for the open dialogue, is usually there's a problem.
Right.
Because if not, then what is the problem? It could be misconstrued, it could be taken. It's like, look, those things are going to happen. When you let people speak freely, you're going to have people who just think that there's lizard people sucking blood out of babies all day long, and there's like nothing's real, and there's a flat earth, and it's like, okay, you're allowed.
Right.
If you want to be a dumbass, you're allowed. This is America, where we can be a dumbass.
And yes, you can be a dumbass.
You know, and thank God I made a career out of it.
Yeah, and you get to be challenged, and you get to challenge. That's
the intellectual pursuit of truth.
Yes.
It's constantly challenged. It's essential. It ebbs and flows. It's like, I'm obsessed with seeking the truth, you know, like the actual truth that's not politically correct. Because like we were just talking about earlier, even just like everyone's so used to being kind and like walking on eggshells to not. It's like it's hard to even get the real truth.
It's true.
And when you get it, it's like, damn, that feels. It's like feeds the soul. When you
Yeah.
hear like someone really telling the truth, that's like even like that kid Bryce Mitchell, as dumb as he is, he's like saying the thing that he knows is going to be a problem and believes in it. I
Yes.
love that. I think what he's saying is the dumbest shit in the world, but the fact that he's like, hey, I believe in this thing and I'm
Right.
going to say it. It's like, good for you.
My favorite people in the world are that.
Yeah.
They're unafraid.
Unapologetic.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, it's beautiful to watch. I don't even agree with him half the time,
Right.
but I love to see
That
it.
energy.
Oh my God, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And we need more of it.
Mm. I'm
In my
apologetically myself. So I'll be me, but I'm going to be sorry about it. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't say unapologetically. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be me, but I'm also going to be like, my bad. I might be a little abrasive, but my bad. All right. Hey, thanks for coming. Thanks for talking to me.
You.
Appreciate you. Your shoes are popping.
Thank you. Thank you.
Would you call them shoes or boots?
Boots.
Your boots are popping. Thank you. Over 300 subscribers. We're pretty much famous. Tell someone that you love to subscribe. Tell someone you hate to subscribe. If you liked the episode, leave a comment. If you hated it, leave a comment. If you want to get pegged, DM me. If you don't want to get pegged, leave a comment. And yeah, shout out to Sheila. If this doesn't work, I'll kill myself.
Damn.